Hey everyone, welcome to UK Media Warrior, and today we're looking at the Baywatch movie, the new movie that's just come out, starring Dwayne Johnson as The Rock. Oh, Dwayne Johnson is The Rock, so starring The Rock and Zac Efron. And it's bad. It's pretty bad. I don't know what you may have heard, but it's been panned by the critics. It tanked at the box office on its opening weekend, and there are very good reasons for that. If you ever watched Baywatch as a series, as I did, I grew up in the 80s, so Airwolf, Street Hawk, Quantum Leap, Baywatch. These are all shows that I watched. So I grew up with David Hasselhoff, Pamela Anderson, and the entire crew. And I used to like Baywatch. It got a bit stupid as it went on, but the first 3 or 4 seasons were pretty good, and I liked them. A lot of people were saying that, there were always cheesy shows, and they were never taking themselves seriously, and they were always sort of funny and comedic. But they weren't. I mean, if you look at them now, if you go back and look at them now, I mean, compared to what shows we watch nowadays, then yes, they look cheesy. But back in the 80s, they were played seriously. They were action-adventure shows on Saturday. They weren't cheesy at all in the 80s. That's just how TV was back then. But they were playing it straight. And a lot of the stuff they tried to handle was important stuff, like drug abuse and rape and really serious issues, but wrapped into this action-adventure sort of like lifeguard on beach environment. So what they've done here with the Rock's film is basically, to my mind, take a poor episode of the Baywatch series and extend it into, I think it's 2 hours. Is it 2 hours? Almost. 116 minutes. So just shy of 2 hours. So if you can imagine a Baywatch episode extended to 2 hours with really, really bad jokes. I mean, I think I sniggered twice. There were a lot of eye rolling and groans. There wasn't exactly much. There was one guy in my theatre when I watched it, and the theatre was about a third full. And this was on its opening day. This was on Saturday. So this was opening weekend. The theatre was a third full. And there was this one guy who kept laughing, who had this really loud laugh. And he was the only person I could hear laughing. The rest of the theatre was pretty much just quiet. I mean, okay, there might have been 1 or 2 other ones, but he laughed at just about every single poor, lame joke. Whereas everyone else was pretty much quiet. But I mean, for example, there's a sequence in this movie where they're in the morgue and The Rock is getting Zac Efron to look at this guy's junk. And it takes like over 5 minutes, and they're like pushing this whole sequence, this whole joke with this corpse's dick, which is on screen. You see it, it's right there on screen, and Zac Efron has to like handle it. And it's like 5 minutes or more of just this. And it's like, you don't need 5 minutes of a dick joke. And it wasn't even funny. And the rest of the film is the same. It cuts between serious, because there are serious parts in it, and then just stupid and not funny. It's like it's been cut together with a kid with a meat cleaver. It really does feel like that. It's like they can't quite decide whether they want to make this a full-out comedy or whether they want to make it half and half. They just can't seem to decide. A lot of people have said that basically what they tried to do was take the success of 21 Jump Street and do the same thing, but the formula doesn't seem to work. The only people who have really succeeded are the guys who did 21 Jump Street. They tried to do it with the recent Chips movie, and that was a disaster. They've tried to do it with Baywatch, and that's a disaster. And if The Rock, who's the most charismatic guy on screen right now, if he can't get people to like his movie, then you know there's a problem. Now, that's not to say him and Zac Efron, the two leads in this film, aren't good. They are good. I mean, their chemistry together is quite funny to watch. But like I say, the jokes just go on too long. For example, The Rock doesn't call Zac by his name until the very end of the film. So he calls him everything else. He calls him boy band names. He calls him, city names. He got everything other than his name. And by the middle of the film, you're like, okay, I get it. You want him to earn the fact that The Rock is going to call him his name. Great, fine, we get it. Can we move on now, please? So by the time you get to the end and The Rock actually calls Zac's character by his real name, you don't really give a shit. Also, the film, there's a guy in the film who's trying out to be a lifeguard. He's overweight. He's a geek, basically. And this is supposedly like his third attempt, I think it is, or something like that, of trying to become a lifeguard. And he keeps failing. And this is like his third attempt to try and get in. And The Rock finally allows him to become a trainee lifeguard because of his persistence. Not that he's in shape, not that he's got stamina, not necessarily that he's got smarts, but because he's got persistence. You are letting people into your unit, your outfit, whose sole responsibility is to save people's lives and stop them from drowning. And you're letting this guy in who isn't fit, but he has persistence. How is that going to help save a life? He can't swim to the drowning guy out in the sea in the riptide. He hasn't got the shape to do that. He isn't in shape enough to do that. So how are you? I don't. That seemed a bit weird. I mean, I know this is a comedy film, but that just seemed a bit odd. You could have kept the character for all that he does in this film. He doesn't do any lifeguarding in this film. For all that he does in this film, you could have kept him as just a friend of the lifeguards, just a tech guy that they know, who they've befriended over the years, and they just lean on him for tech stuff, tech support, and he could just be brought in that way. He didn't have to be a lifeguard. Also, a majority of the film is quite blatantly girls in bikinis. Really hot-looking girls in not many clothing. Not many clothes at all. That's pretty much what it all is. Now, I know, again, a lot of people are going to say, well, that's what the Baywatch TV show was. Well, yes and no. Yes, they were in bikinis. They're lifeguards. They kind of have to. But this is different. This is like, even when they're not in their lifeguard outfits, they're wearing clothes that show off pretty much everything. So, it's an R-rated comedy. So they're not even doing it for like young teen boys who'll probably somehow get Blu-rays or DVDs later on down the line or download it and watch it and have a great time. But it's an R-rated comedy, so they didn't have to go that far with that aspect. I mean, yeah, okay, I enjoyed the scenery. I'll admit it. I'm a red-blooded guy. I enjoyed looking at all those beautiful young ladies. But it was overpoweringly always on screen, and that was just a bit stupid to me. So, yeah, lame jokes that don't really hit. It's overlong. The script is a by the beats TV show script. It really is. You see all the twists and turns coming a mile down the road. You know who all the bad guys are, even the ones who are supposed to be a twist bad guy at the end. You know they're coming. You see them a mile off. So it's not a good film in really any shape or form for The Rock. This one's not going to do his reputation any favours, but then here's The Rock and you can just shrug it off and move on to bigger and better things, I hope. So there you go. For me, this rating is 3 out of 10. Avoid it if you can. If you want to watch it, wait for it to come out and download, or rent a Blu-ray or something, but please don't spend the money to go and see it at the cinema. You'll be wasting it. Thank you for watching this review. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, take care.